Good day. Magic seas hit. Real to education, not fake news. Here in rural Ireland, it's dullish. The weather is set to improve a lot with high pressure coming in. We've had a lot of wind yesterday, and hopefully we're back to maybe some little bit of weather for making a little bit of hay, a very useful dry fodder for livestock. Now, folks, this video is it is about the war in the Middle East. I wouldn't make it again. I already made one, but there are developments, and this is just letting you know what's happening. Magic Seas has been hit. Now, Houthi rebels have attacked a ship in the Red Sea, which was supposed to be coming from China. It was certainly heading northwards towards the Mediterranean through the Suez Canal. It's Liberian registered, and it was carrying a cargo of iron and fertilizer, allegedly from China. Now, it's possible that's true, I'd say, because China would be selling at least half the world's steel, not normally raw materials. It's very unlikely it was iron ore, almost certainly processed steel from China. And fertilizer, I'm surprised that would be there, but anyway, that's supposed to be what it is. Now, it is said to be en route to Turkey. And Turkey is a distribution port for Europe, a lot of it. Now, it is Greek owned. And the Israeli state has entered negotiations with Greece. I think there's good relations with Israel and Greece because the Israelis have asked for permission, I don't know where they granted it, to store some of their jet fighters in Greece, out of harm's way, maybe for the purposes of space, I'm not too sure. But obviously there's some sort of good relationships there. And there also appears to be very good relationships between the Israeli people and the Cyprus. And a lot of them have holiday homes and go to live there. I was never in Cyprus. I must go to it sometime. I believe it's a lovely place. Their climate over there, of course, in all of these areas is far superior from the point of view of warmth, comfort, and lack of home heating needed to Ireland, but they cannot grow vegetables or grass like we can here. The grass is popping out of the ground. You couldn't keep it eat at the minute with the rain and the heat here in Ireland. Hence our massive beef and lamb exports. Now, the Houthi rebels sank a ship back last year containing all fertilizer. Down it went. They sank none this year. But now they're after striking at the ship, the Magic Seas. This is a Liberian registered ship owned by Greece. And they allege that the ship was coming up the Red Sea through the Suez Canal and going to call to Israeli ports. And therefore it was supplying Israel. And they're not saying with what, but of course there might be suspicions that there were some weapons on board. However, if it was sent from China, I doubt it, unless they were loaded at sea or whatever. The truth or falsehood of that is not for me to decide. Indeed, you can guess it, and it's not necessary to say that. But they hit it, and they hit it with rockets, rocket-propelled grenades from the shore. Now, another ship was taken over by Houthi pirates. I think it's British registered, and their crew evacuated, and it was left floating, and it has been moored at sea and been used by the Houthis as a surveillance and a radar and a recording vehicle or place for shipping. So the Houthis are doing a lot of homework, and they are probably supplied with some information from where the ships are going. So I'd say they're letting one or two through, watching what happens. They would allege, I'm not saying, that it calls at Israeli ports. But anyway, they hit this one. The British hit it and have knocked it out as a surveillance vessel. It's not gone down, but they've left it that it's not much good. They hit the upper decks and the surveillance equipment of that ship. Now I'm going back now to the Magic Seas, the ship this video is about. So they attacked it with rocket-propelled grenades and missiles and other stuff, but they used another device, and it's becoming very prevalent in war, that is radio-controlled devices. So they launched big speedboats with radio-controlled navigation, possibly controlled from a bit away, and crashed them into the ship. And they obviously maybe let them up quietly up beside the ship and then let them off. But they've gashed several big holes in the port side. That's the right-hand side. Now, it's not on the news. I don't know. I don't think so. But I have to put my neck out. My job is to give you real information. The word is it's either gone down or it's in the process of sinking. The crew have abandoned it. They were picked up by other vessels. 2 crew members are reported missing. They could have been hit by some of the rockets. Now the Houthis man is on there. What do you call him? I think he's Sari. He's the fella be shouting there in military uniform. And he's on shouting about Palestine and Gaza and all of this. Now, meanwhile, President Netanyahu met President Trump yesterday, and Paddy Mickey has asked me there something that I'll deal with in another later on, but about what I think of Trump. Now, I've tried to see what came out of the meeting, and it seems to me that Trump has watered down a bit his plan to get the people out of Palestine completely, to a plan that those who want to leave may leave. And there seems to be some bit of a push on to get peace in Gaza. Don't know will that work. Now, reports are suggesting that the Israelis took a very bad hammering from Iran. That even their main military intelligence building may have been hit. There have been certainly some suicides among Israeli soldiers. Now, I don't think YouTube can ban me for this. I'm only giving you the facts. I'm not siding with anybody or invoking hatred. I'd love to see peace brought in. And I just wonder, how would a crowd of Irish Gardaí and soldiers do over there? If they could, they'd be about the best. Possibly Ireland. Iceland has no army. I don't think any NATO country could go in there. Ireland's neutral. Be a big task and a lot want to be financed, but the Irish can be good in those places. I know maybe you're putting people in danger, but I certainly would support the use of Irish peacekeepers there. They have a good old heart, they're not cruel people. But anyway, I don't think that may perhaps be a pipe dream. But anyway, about Trump. You see, Trump, I've always supported Trump because he's way ahead, better than anything the left have. The reality is the American Democratic Party, whoever's running them, have destroyed the world. They've destroyed the world. They've brought in a woke culture which must be fought at all cost. Greta Thunberg was once on about climate change. How dare you? And then she was on about Gaza. She got horsed out of there fairly quick. Now she went over to Budapest to complain about the banning of the Pride March. And she says you can't ban love. In other words, that the Gay Pride March being banned is a ban on love. This is the same woman who said to us, how dare you? There wasn't much love in that statement. But she's only a symptom of the overall malaise. The American woke World Economic Forum people have brought on Trump. Trump is the natural reaction. Politics never runs smoothly. It always goes pendulum. Like that. So they have Trump. But anyway, Trump is doing great work in America, but I've always said he is not an economist and not ever going to be a good economist. But from what I could gather from snitches I see, when Trump came out with Netanyahu after the lunch and the meeting, and President Netanyahu presented Trump with a letter recommending he be given a Nobel Peace Prize. I'm very happy with that. I have already said he should be canonized or maybe beatified as a saint, as a junior saint, and he could be promoted when he passes away. I hope it's a long time yet. But he's different from the rest. But he is a loose cannon to some degree. Anyway, one of the things about the method of Trump in the White House is when he meets somebody like Zelensky or Netanyahu or someone else, he always makes sure the press corps asks questions about stuff not related to the meeting. And so the best I can gather from Trump's press conference with Netanyahu is that there was nearly nothing spoken about Israel. It was all about the tariffs. And that leaves the person who went to see him sitting there listening to stuff totally unrelated to the subject matter. If I were the Irish Taoiseach, which I never will be, and I went over to talk about supplies of LPG, is that liquid petroleum gas, from America, and tariffs on whiskey going in, that's what I'd expect to be dealt with in the press briefing. But it wouldn't. It'd be something to do with the Chinese or Kim Jong-un or the South Africans. 3/4 of the meeting would not be about what I want to talk about at all. And that's an old trick. I've seen that used 1,000 times. I've been on RTE where they bring up other subjects when I go to speak about renewable energy and they change the topic. An old trick doesn't impress me at all. But anyway, the news I have on you, and keep it short, is that ship, the Magic Seas, is either gone or about to go down. That means there's 2 ships in the last couple of years in the bottom of the Red Sea. And just think of the pollution and the environmental damage. They haven't control of the Red Sea. Now, Trump has said that it's up to Iran to rein in the Houthis. Houthis claim they're able to make some weapons themselves. I'm a little bit puzzled as to why Iran should rein in anybody. Aren't they at war with Israel? The word is that Iran doesn't want a nuclear bomb. I think at this stage they are privately developing a nuclear bomb. I think they are. Now, definitely, the attack on Israel was phenomenal. It's not reported accurately. Israelis are shocked. They thought they were under an iron dome. It was easy breached. You simply send a big heap of second-rate, cheap missiles across. Use all the interceptors, all the very expensive intercepting missiles, and then let in the real one. I've made a video on that before. Can peace be obtained? Well, I have to give an opinion here at the risk of being shut down. If I were running it, I would go for a secure Israel with autonomous regions under international supervision in Gaza and the West Bank. Israel wants to expand. It has only 9,000 square miles of country, but it has ports and it has sea areas. But that is the problem. It'll be very hard to get any more land. A piece of Syria, if it could be conceded, would be good, but the Damascus city is very close to what Israel would be getting. If Damascus had to be further east, then maybe they could get a few acres over there. Meanwhile, Netanyahu is charged with offences over there which will never be dealt with while he's Prime Minister. So some people say that he has to keep the war going. So I've said that about Trump. I think that Trump basically is anti-war. I believe with many commentators, he doesn't like war. He sees nothing in it. He'd rather be saying he achieved something or achieved peace and built something than he would win a war. But that's not how life works. That's not how life goes. And some would argue that the people of Israel should have chosen a different type of statesman. Personally, if I were choosing the Prime Minister, I'd choose a slightly different type of person. He'd still have to be strong and defend Israel, that's his job. But I think I'd take a slightly different approach, and I'd use more diplomacy, because the thing about diplomacy is, once you have diplomacy, you have a way out for your opponents to come round and maybe meet some agreement. I don't think that's likely to happen. It's all very sad for those involved. There have been a lot of funerals in Israel, a lot of funerals, and there is a morale issue among the troops. And it's hard. It's hard on everybody. We'll see you back soon. That's the best I can give you. Watch for that. Has the magic seas actually sunk? I think it's probably at the bottom of the sea now. If I'm wrong, I'll hold my hand up. Bye. Thank you very much. Good luck.